Greetings, friend. Welcome to another message from the wilderness. This is another passage that we're going to explore. In these passages, we see the Spirit expressing to us in the New Testament the importance of faith, love, and good works. We're taking a leisurely stroll through the New Testament, looking at these passages one at a time. Matthew 22, verses 34 through 40, has a well-known incident where Jesus was asked an important question. Remember, this is under the law of Moses, before the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, and before the establishment of the church on the day of Pentecost. Let's read these verses. But the Pharisees, when they heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, gathered themselves together. One of them, a lawyer, asked him a question, testing him. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. A second, likewise, is this: You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The whole law and the prophets depend on these two commandments. Well, I'd like to say a couple of things about this first, and you can look into this and find it to be the truth. To the Jew, this first statement, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, was their focus. This was what they recited daily, I think more than once. So this was no hard answer. This was easy. And maybe they had been trying to get him to say something else, which they would have all disagreed with. But Jesus got up and recited this every day, just as all of the other Jews. So that's not the important part of his answer. The important part of his answer is placing what I consider to be pretty much an equivalency on another commandment. And this commandment was found in Leviticus, and it wasn't in direct conjunction with love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. But it is love your neighbor as yourself. This would have been very unexpected and something, if they had never heard Jesus teaching, that would have taken them by surprise, and they might have asked themselves, why do you pair this with the great commandment? He says that the entire law and prophets hang on these two commandments, or as this translation said, depend on these two commandments. And I say that this is an equivalency, or the second commandment is pretty much like unto the first, as he says, and as we see in other translations. But in looking at this passage, let's look forward into the teachings of the apostles after the day of Pentecost and the teachings of the other New Testament writers, the first Christians. The Spirit, through them, makes us see that if we want to love God, we must love our neighbor. You cannot love God without loving your neighbor. So this indeed is an equivalency. Now, as Christians, we are commanded to have faith in Christ. We have to maintain that. and to love one another. So it's the same situation. And as we'll look at in the next passage, Jesus says that when you are loving your neighbor, you are loving him. So that is another equivalency. If we want to know how to love God in this day and age, we know that we should have faith in his Son, and to show love to his Son and the true faith that we need to have, we must love our neighbor and do good to them. So when you're looking at this passage in Matthew 22, verses 34 through 40, remember that the first commandment all the Jews would have agreed with and understood. The second commandment might have been a surprise to all those who had not been watching Jesus and listening to his teaching. So we'll say goodbye for this time, and hopefully next time we get together we'll look at that great judgment scene in Matthew 25, beginning with verse 31. Goodbye for now.